wants to review it later, it'll be made available to you. And then, so without further ado, thank you everyone for coming to our webinar today, the final one in our ISV webinar series. And today we have Sana Solutions, who will be presenting their platform for us. So just to kind of let you know who's who and who's going to be presenting today, we have Giovanni Nigris. I'm sorry I'm butchering it, even though I said I wasn't going to.
That was great.
Jessica Castiglia and Molly Motes. So Jessica and Giovanni will start it off with the details of the Sana solution, and then Molly will come in at the end and show you how that integrates into Business Central. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it off to Giovanni to continue this presentation.
Thank you, Tanya. Let me share my screen and let me know if you can see it clearly.
Yep, we're good on my end.
Perfect. And again, thank you, Tanya and Bamboom, for inviting us, and proud to be the closing act of this ISV series for Bamboom Cloud. Just to introduce ourselves, Sana is also an ISV. We are a Microsoft Gold partner, and we obviously focus on e-commerce and customer portals. And one of our value propositions is that we only integrate into a very limited number of ERPs, specifically in the Microsoft Dynamics stack. Obviously, we started with Nav, AX, and GP, and obviously now we're focusing most of our efforts on Business Central and F&O. As you see here, I wanted to start with our value proposition, which is we want to help you prioritize your relationships with your customers and bring them to the next level. And we want to counter that, with, while the majority of e-commerce platforms will typically focus on the transactional side of portals, we see that there's obviously a large need of help on a lot of other aspects of the business and components of the customer journey, which is something that we'll be discussing today as something that customers and and our partners, including Bamboom Cloud, are particularly asking us about in terms of understanding the differences between the two. So in terms of our agenda today, I wanted to start by introducing us a little bit more, who Sana is, and how we have worked and will typically work with Bamboom Cloud on Business Central projects and implementations. I then wanted to take a step back and talk about digital strategies for working with your customers. And I think one of the key topics that we're typically asked is, what is the difference between customer portal and an e-commerce platform? So we'll dive into a bit of the differences between the two and potentially an implementation path that starts gradually with some of the components of each, and then kind of goes full blown into a full e-commerce strategy for your business, which is again similar to how Bamboom Cloud typically handles their implementations. And then we'll go into a demo of Sana, talk about our customer experiences from B2C, B2B, as well as allowing your sales reps to potentially utilize our software as well, and how we work with Business Central. So how we can unlock the data and business logic that you already have in your ERP and utilize that for exposing that information to your customers. We'll end with a standard Q&A. So if you have any questions, we'll definitely address them. Obviously, as always, if there's any particular topics that we want to dive into, we can also obviously take it in a separate call. We'll be happy to do that. But I wanted to start by the question that we asked ourselves back in 2007 when we started with the idea of Sana, which was what if we could make the ERP and e-commerce and digital strategy kind of work as one. So how can we start with the data that you already have in your ERP, starting from both customer, product, and complex data such as pricing and inventory. When you start with that and then build an e-commerce on top of Business Central, rather than the other way around, which is typically how most mainstream platforms will work, which is you have the two separate databases and it will try to kind of sync back and integrate and try to interface back between the two, which is usually cause for cumbersome processes and a lot of headaches. So from just a implementation standpoint, we want to transition your business the same way that you can think of Bamboo Cloud potentially helping you from moving from QuickBooks to kind of a more advanced version of handling your processes, may it be financial or operational. We want to improve the way that you work with your customers and your customer-facing processes, at the same time utilizing the same data that you have in Business Central. So that's kind of how we started and how we have built the company that we are today. In terms of Sana Commerce, we're actually a Dutch-founded company. That's so now our global headquarters are split between Rotterdam in the Netherlands and New York in the U.S., where I'm located today. And our platforms has been designed to help mainly manufacturers, distributors, and wholesalers succeed by helping foster those lasting relationships that I was mentioning earlier. The counter is, again, while typically most other e-commerce platforms that you might see in, for example, the Forrester Wave, were originally designed to support more retailers and only have recently started to address the needs of maybe more B2B type companies and B2B type processes. That's been our focus as the start of our when our platform was launched. So our two focuses are obviously on B2C and B2B. But since the majority of other platforms will typically focus on B2C specifically, we see that a lot of our customers will typically choose and work with us also for our B2B aspect. Just quickly throw through the numbers. We have over 1,000 active customers globally. And in terms of internally, we have 9 offices worldwide, split between Europe, APAC, Middle East, and North and South America. We have over 450 employees, a lot of whom 100 of which just focus on our product and constantly improving our product. So that's something that we're definitely proud of. And similar to Bamboo Cloud, we have over 200 partners worldwide that we work with, both from a Microsoft ecosystem standpoint as well as other ESVs that are part of our marketplace and app store ecosystem that we'll work with. If we talk about what's so different from us, and just in a few words, we're an e-commerce platform that's built for and into Microsoft Dynamics. So again, we are a pretty niche platform and solution. And what that does is that we can focus on 3 main benefits for your customers in your business. One is total customer convenience. We want to make sure that your customers are able to come in and find the information they need, both from a product standpoint as well as from a documentation standpoint. So think of things like sales orders and invoices and quotes. The second piece is reliability without compromise. So we want to make sure that the information that the customer sees when they log into a Sana portal is accurate and it's in real time. And we want to make sure that as soon as they place an order or a quote, that order will be able to process immediately in your back office. So again, just that real-time integration on both sides. The third piece is, again, our integration into Business Central allows us to provide constant evolution for your business. So as you grow as a business and as you potentially grow also in size or in terms of your IT infrastructure and ecosystem, we want to make sure that we can grow with you, which is something that's usually not the case with maybe shopping cart or stopgap solutions that you might find in the market. How do we do that? Again, we make the ERP and e-commerce work as one. So it sounds easy and simple, and it sounds pretty straightforward, but you'll be surprised to know that our value proposition actually is pretty unique. So we want to guarantee that there's a single source of data that's shared between the ERP and Sana, and that allows us to remove a lot of the complexities and compromise that you'll typically have when you're working with siloed systems and solution. Well, you'll have your ERP and with your pricing logic on one side, and then you'll have a completely separate system that you'll need to interface and work between the two. We feel like this is the best way to set up your digital strategy, e-commerce, and portal. And we feel like that's the best way that you can prioritize the relationships and make sure that your customers are getting the information that you want. And you can also operate in that framework in a lot more of an efficient way than in a different architecture and platform. So diving into that a little bit more, what that means is that all the ERP data that you already have in your Business Central platforms will also be available in the e-commerce platform in real time. So with this, the typical example is product information, a product SKU number, a price, or availability data. So think about all that data that you already have in your back office systems for internal purposes. We want to make sure that you don't need to replicate and duplicate a lot of that efforts to put them live into a web portal, but we want to make it as easy as possible that you can just bulk upload them at the start of the project, and then it will constantly upload in real time as soon as you make changes to one of the two systems. The same way will work for ERP functionality. So we've built over 100 different touch points into Business Central to work with again Business Central specific pieces like variants or attributes, units of measures, bill of materials, and so on and so forth. So we want to make sure that the same type of data management that you have in your ERP will work also for your customers as they browse through your product. So if you have, let's say, a wholesaler that's coming in and wants to place an order, but they want to be able to decide if they want to order by each or a box or a case, they'll have the same functionality that you have in Business Central, and that's all, again, integrated in real time if there's a change that happens between the two. There's a single source of data. So that's at the end of the day, that's the fundamental principle that we work with. We want the ERP to be the single source of truth for everything that we do. So if we look at, again, pieces of your organization that might need to be duplicated, we'll always go back to the ERP and look at what the ERP logic dictates. And lastly, changes only have to be made once in one system and not in both. So this goes vice versa, and it's bidirectional. So if a change is made, let's say, into the pricing logic, or there's a price change in Business Central, that'll be automatically updated in real time in Sana. And same way, as soon as an order is created in Sana, it will be created in real time in Business Central. So again, when I talked at the beginning about we want to help the full customer journey and not just stop at the transaction piece, this is what we mean. We want to help both for integrate into customers' logic. Think of things like shipping and billing addresses and payment information and logic, all the way to products and how those are structured in your ERP, all the way to allowing your customers to have access to things like quotes, orders, shipment and delivery tracking, and potentially even invoice payment after the sale. All the way to potentially handling returns and RMAs through Sana, and again integrating that back into Business Central. So this is again our our product and what we do. I wanted to spend just a little bit more time before I get into the demo on if there's someone that's attending today and the questions are why should I start with e-commerce and with an online portal? We're not currently doing that right now. And maybe the second question is maybe we have considered and we have thought about it, but this seems daunting. So we want to understand how and where do I start. So on the why piece, it should be we live in an age where obviously digital strategy is at the forefront of a lot of the companies, and especially we've seen with COVID, you never know when brick and mortar could close down any minute. So having a digital platform and a digital place for your customers to be able to find the information that they're looking for, both from a product perspective, but again also from an information perspective, is key. Obviously, again, lead times, as we know, in terms of supply chain, have put a lot of pressure on organizations. So also having that real-time factor we saw with our customers as being key. The second piece is our buyers are getting younger. So obviously the millennials in those organizations are pushing to have an online presence. So when they find your business and they want to work with you, they'll typically look at your website and see if you have information there, both from a pricing standpoint or just how can I place an order. The last piece is obviously organizations are trying to become more efficient. So think of and maybe this is a question that you should ask yourself, are we still relying too much on having our internal workforce focus on things like phone calls, emails for both orders or invoice requests, and can we maybe optimize a lot of that and just put a lot of that information on a portal where our customers can easily find that information 24/7, and they can actually contact us for maybe more meaningful type of transactions and information. So this is kind of the why, and obviously we see in the data everything's trending towards e-commerce being the number one channel for companies to place their business. Specifically, it used to be like that for B2C in the last 10 years, and now we have definitely saw the switch also in B2B, and e-commerce kind of taking over as the most effective sales channel. The kind of the final conclusion obviously is you should lean into a digital portal or be sidelined. A lot of your competitors are already probably doing it, and it's just a way to help with your continued revenue growth and helping also with your internal sales capabilities to be able to potentially even take in more orders than you think you can right now. The last piece is obviously if you've made the decision to say, okay, we think this is good for us and we're going to kick off a digital portal strategy, okay, where do we start? And we get that question a lot, and I think that the main piece is you can actually start gradually and you don't have to take in and start all the way. I think this is the same type of methodology that Bamboom applies for their ERP projects. So we actually think of the same strategy as we talk about e-commerce. So the first piece that you can do is just start with the basics of customer interaction. So potentially just open up an online portal for customers to just log in and see their orders, their invoices, maybe pay those invoices online. So take some of that pressure off your back office team that's maybe working more on the finance side, and decrease the number of emails that your team is currently getting. And then just tackle some of those critical priorities more methodically. So potentially just again start slow and kind of see where that takes. Maybe also in terms of setting up that portal. Obviously, there might be some pieces that go into it, but you don't have to do all at once. The third piece is obviously get your data right in the ERP, because at the end of the day, for Sana, that's going to be the first piece that we look into and ask. So as long as things like your customer data and your products data is cleaned up in the ERP, that's going to be a massive push for lowering the amount of time that it takes you to get the portal up and running. Because again, we just take all of that data, including description, attributes, and price, directly from Business Central. So if that's already in there, that's going to lower and decrease the amount of time that it takes you to upload that information into the web. And then some of the advice that we see from our customers when working our implementation is potentially can just decide to roll out the portal to some customers first, maybe your existing B2B customers, and then maybe then expanding to other B2B customers, and then maybe as a phase 3 open it up to B2C. So these are some of the strategies that we see. So you're not kind of doing all at once, but you can kind of take a step back and do things methodically. And I kind of put this here in perspective to say, this is what a phased portal implementation strategy will look like. This is something that we have done and talked about with Bamboom Cloud for some of the project that we're currently working with. So how do we potentially start with customer portal, just giving the customers the ability to see and pay open invoices, review orders and quotes, and maybe just track shipments, and then potentially opening that up to just have customers see the catalog, products and price, but not be able to order. And then as a step 2, what we call full-blown e-commerce is essentially opening that up to ordering. So then allowing your customers to even place orders or request quotes online. And then, as I said, some of these strategies could be from a customer's perspective. So roll out first to a specific customer base and then extend to the full base. So it could be start with B2B and then extend to B2C. From a product perspective, you could also start from small ticket sales and build into a kind of a full service destination to also support those big ticket sales. And then from a journey perspective, you can maybe start with just a transactional piece and then potentially open that up to things like returns management or tickets entering and all of that. And obviously this could be the goal and the endpoint for some of our customers, but obviously everyone's looking, beyond that. So I even put in a step 3, which is kind of the next generation of e-commerce and where we're going, which is, potentially doing what we call B2X. So handling, all types of customers at the same time. But also, some that we're starting to get questions on a lot is marketplaces. So how can we both, sell on our portal and our website, but potentially open that up to marketplaces like eBay and Amazon, and then going into things like headless and omnichannel and so on and so forth. So definitely, you could see yourself as being, oh, I think we're only in step 1 and we have a long ways to go, but you might already have the kind of the vision to say that this is, step 3 is where we're going to end up. So this is it for kind of the informational standpoint. So I'll jump into the demo side of things. Just as an introduction, I'll start with kind of some of the experiences in Sana, and then I'll have Molly touch on some of the aspects of Business Central. So I thought the first piece that I want to show you is how that phase 1 customer portal could look like. So what would be included and what would a customer see when they log in into a portal like that? So this is how it could look like. So they could just access the customer portal. The first piece that they would need to do is log in. We want to obviously know who's logging in to show the information that's most relevant to them. So once I log in as Dave, as a B2B customer, what I'll see is potentially, all the information around my account. So you can have, for example, just show them the recent orders. As a B2B customers, I can I can just check that order. This will have the same type of information that I would see if I was checking into that order back office. And I would obviously see, things like order number, the status, if it's, still in transit, payment method, payment terms, and all the information that I care about for that specific order. What's powerful is that without needing to obviously contact anyone in your team, I can download this order and kind of save this PDF for internal purposes without, again, needing to interact with anyone from your team. Same way for orders applies for invoices. So if I look at my invoice history, I can see what are the recent invoices. I can see the ones that have already been paid, the ones that maybe are have already been taken care of or are overdue, or I can come in and see potentially some of the invoices that are still to be paid, and I can actually use the Sana portal to pay those invoices online. So one of the key pieces is that not only can I come into this posted invoice detail and download this the same way as the order, but as a PDF and save it for our internal purposes, but I could also say, directly pay this invoice through the Sana Pay platform and take care of this invoice right away. So there's multiple obviously aspects that you can open up. These are probably the 2 most common uses of the Sana customer portal. The other aspect is you can open up just the catalog piece of Sana for your customers. So a customer can come in and see some of their products on their catalog, potentially see availability and price. This would be covered in our customer portal package. The one thing that would distinguish customer portal from e-commerce if they would be able to place an order or not. So that's a good segue to talk about our full-blown e-commerce capabilities. So the same way as with the customer portal, we would have the ability to show, again, a catalog from Business Central. Maybe good to highlight is that on top of things like product name and SKU number, availability and price, we could also expose things like attributes and leverage them for things like filters and helping the customer search and get to the product that they're looking for. So the ones these filters that you see on the left are actually taken from the attributes page of each of these products, so I can quickly browse through and select the products that I want to get to. And again, we didn't have to set up that logic twice. It was just taken from the Business Central attributes logic. So maybe this is a good representation of how just a product page would look like. We have the product name and the item number that's taken straight from Business Central. We have a base level description that could also be the base level description that you already have in Business Central. We have the price. We can also show, for example, things like volume discounts or customer specific discounts. And we can also show real-time availability in stock. In terms of both, there are different ways that you can display this price. You can decide to hide this price for certain types of customers. You can also decide to show the price with the discount, or again, there's multiple options there, same as stock and availability. So we can show if it's just in stock or out of stock. We can show the full real-time stock availability, and potentially if it's out of stock, we can also potentially show lead times. Maybe just to show how that order would go through, I'll just start adding a couple of products into my shopping cart. And I wanted to show some ways where a customer can potentially come in and fulfill this order. So other than just browsing through the catalog and choosing the products that they're looking for customers that already know what they want, let's say they've already ordered in the past, I can also come in and just type in my SKU number, just enter the quantity and add it to the cart. So we also want to make it easy and quick for some of those customers that are recurring and have done business with you over and over to find the products that they're looking for and easily come in and check out. One other piece is we can also create templates for customers. This is something that you can do yourself for your customers, or the customers can do for themselves, and potentially if they have different buyers within their organization, they can do this. But I can save this as a template, save this as my March order template, and then come back to it later on and decide from which template I want to order from. So again, this just a way for making it easier and quicker for our customers to find the products that are looking for and get to them as quickly as possible. In terms of the type of customers that we work with, we can either work with a B2C type of persona, so they can come in and they don't need to have an account with us, and we can potentially work and just check out as a guest. Or in this case, I'm currently logged in as a customer. So for example, if I now add these products to the cart and I proceed to checkout, we will already be looking at the addresses that are located in Business Central, and we can already push that for the checkout experience that they're going through. For shipping, we have integrations into things like FedEx, UPS, and USPS. So we can either look at their rates, or you can kind of create your own shipping methods that are typically apply the most for your company. For payment, this is depends on how you typically do business, but we can either do on account and then have the customers pay the invoice afterwards, or we can have them just enter the credit card and pay their credit card right away. So these are kind of some of the business decisions that you'll have to make, but Sana can support both type of checkout process and experiences. Once I'm okay and I can review kind of my order, I see some of the discounts that might have applied. I can enter a reference number. We'll typically advise customers who maybe work with POs to use this for kind of entering the PO number. I can enter comments and potentially even a requested delivery date. So this is all information that will flow through the order as we create the order and send it to Business Central. When I click the pay button, which we could also call it the submit order button. Now the order has been canceled. Let's see if we can go back to it. Sorry. I think it's the demo session. We'll try to pay this on account. Let's see if this now goes through. Okay. I think the credit card piece was malfunctioning, but we'll use it on account. So this order is now being processed successfully in Business Central. If I go to this order page, we'll see that this order has now been created, and we're already sending the information that Business Central sent us. So if you look at this order number, 101421 is the order that we've created in Business Central and already sent back to Sana for us to potentially download and process. I wanted to show what that looks like in Business Central. So If I now go into the back office of where our team will usually work, and I look at our sales orders that have been created, and I search for that order number. Let's go back to 101421. You can see that the order now appears. So again, it's real-time processing, and we already have this order ready for potentially pick, pack, and shipping. Let's say we even want to make a change or an edit to this order, or let's say the customer contacts us to say, well, I made a mistake. I actually wanted to order just one of the twisted hooks, and maybe we also want to give them an extra discount on this order line. We can do that, and once we save this order in Business Central and we go back to Sana, we want to show that this actually appears in real time. So now if I go back, I went back to Sana, the twisted hooks have been converted to one, and we have a 10% discount on this order line. So this, I wanted to show the immediacy and the real-time aspect of how we work, and this is obviously very unique, as typically there will be some types of sync or delay when this order will take place. I wanted to finish off with a last scenario that we typically see and our customers will typically ask us for, which is, can we potentially have our sales reps in Sana and have them place orders on behalf of their customers. So we have actually a sales rep experience. So if I log in as a sales rep in Sana, we can have them select the customer that they want to order from. So I can choose from a list of the customers that I either am associated to back in Business Central, or I can even have them potentially select all customers that we have in Business Central. And once I'm in as a sales rep, I can see that this customer already potentially had an open shopping cart, and I can either request create a quote on their behalf or proceed to checkout on their behalf. The powerful thing here is that, again, we can potentially just create the quote on the customer's behalf in Sana and have the customer then log in from on their side into the portal and potentially convert that quote into an order. So there's some powerful things that we can do by working with sales reps, including one where a customer can request this quote and have the sales rep then log into Sana and convert that quote into an order without needing to be in Business Central for that piece. I know that Molly also had some pieces that she wanted to show from the Business Central standpoint, so I'll quickly hand it over to her. But obviously, if there's any other questions or any other pieces, I'll be happy to go through those.
Thanks, Gio. Okay, I'll take over the screen share.
Perfect.
Can you just...
I see your screen.
Cool. Yeah, I just wanted to quickly show Business Central just to reiterate how it is truly one database. So first off, in terms of inventory or the products that you're showing in Sana, if I go to my items list, this is where all the information is coming from. So if I drill into an item card, just go into one of these, things like the SKU number, description, the picture, even those attributes, the filters that Sana shows, this is truly all in one view in the item card. Also things like quantity on hand, this is pulling real time as well. Business Central also does have good sales price capabilities. So if you need to have special pricing for the customer that's entering or a certain group of customers, rather than just one price, you can go in, create a special price or discount for, like I said, one customer or even a customer price group that then you're assigning to 100 customers at the same time. It has good tracking as well, that you can set those minimum quantities to trigger a discount or special price, and also different dates, different campaigns that you're running, you can set that all in here. The other thing, just in terms of if it's scary to get the master data in, all of these have really good integration with Excel. So in terms of if you are first starting out in Business Central, getting that product list in, getting the sales prices, all of that, and keeping that updated is a lot easier because it has Excel features too. The other option, just to kind of highlight differences, you have your inventory list right here. Business Central does also have what they consider catalog items. Those are items that maybe are available from your vendors to be purchased, but you don't necessarily have them in stock yet. So you can have two different item lists and essentially show them both in Sana of here's all the items that I'm available to sell, but maybe until they're actually triggered on the sales order, you wouldn't convert them to your actual inventory stock. So that's an option as well to kind of have a bigger list and also show it on the e-commerce side. Then just quickly, I know Gio kind of touched on this, but just to reiterate, the quotes and orders, it's the same exact page that you would go manually do a quote and order on. From here, if I'm looking at all of the orders that I'm, either waiting to ship or completely process, you can think these are also the filtering capabilities. You can filter on just Sana orders versus the manual ones, search by those requested dates that, the customer has filled out on their sales order. And then from here straight is where your shipping team would come in to actually ship it. And then your accounting team would come in to finish off the invoice if it hasn't already been paid. So it is just one screen, one look and feel. Same kind of just to round it out with the customers. Your customer list is what is truly synced to Sana. All of the history, like the quotes, the orders, the invoices that you see over here, it's going to be the same numbers that are pulling into Sana. Same with the balance due, just like I would maybe go into a customer card, drill into the balance due, see all of the invoices that are outstanding. This is the same view that now your customer can see. So yeah, that's just a quick overview, I guess, just to kind of combine it all out and just show that it is truly one database and automatically synced. Tanya, I guess I'll give it to you for Q&A.
All right. Thanks, everyone. This is your chance. If you have any questions, I'll give you a second to put them into the chat. And also, I just wanted to give a big thank you to Sana for presenting for us today. Like Gio mentioned earlier, how we work really well together is we have the same philosophy when it comes to implementation, starting small. E-commerce and all that might seem like a huge undertaking, but if we bite it off bits at a time, you'll get there before you know it. So I guess if you guys have any questions, put them in. I had one or two that came in. So I guess the first question would be, what makes Sana different than Shopify? So what is the difference between, let's say if you already have Shopify, why would I look to Sana?
Yeah, that's a great question, and we get it a lot. I think also I think the majority of our customers that we even have with Bamboom Cloud, we're actually working on a QuickBooks and Shopify type of setup, and I would say Sana would be the next generation of e-commerce, the same way Business Central will be the kind of the next generation of your ERP and financials. But maybe to answer from an architectural standpoint. Sana, as Molly was saying, actually sits on top of the ERP database. So that's how we're able to push out a lot of those, products and price data without needing additional information. Shopify requires you to have, a separate type of, interface and syncs to access those data. So that's, I would say, is the first piece. The second is, I know Shopify is typically geared for the B2C type audience. So if you're just selling, low amount of products, low amount of customers, specifically in the B2C, Shopify might be a good fit. If you're starting to see that you're selling to, more complex types of buyers, so more on the B2B type audience, and you start to sell more complex type products with maybe even complex type pricing, that's where Sana really comes in, because we just look at Business Central. We don't have to recreate anything, which is usually the problem that customers that are on Shopify struggle with, and they will come to Sana. But that's a great question.
That's good. Last question we have here is, what does the implementation process look like for working with Sana to create a web portal for our customers to use?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I can answer maybe on two sides. One, for customers that are just starting with Business Central, so maybe getting Business Central set up. So in order for Sana to come in and start the implementation, we require Business Central at least from a test database to be up and running, so we can at least test the integration with either a product or a price. So that will be always our starting point. As soon as that data is in Business Central, that's when we can really start implementing. And what it'll look like is the first phase of the project is really us adding and installing the objects of Sana in the ERP and make sure that the integration is live and operational. Once that takes place, we'll support you in terms of doing the content setup and making sure that everything is ready from a content standpoint for your site to be to go live. And then we'll obviously guide and kind of handle you all the way there. We want to make sure that all of our customers are independent and can make the changes themselves. So that's also a big difference from other types of portals. I can think of one is Magento, where you require potentially a Magento developer to do some of those changes. We want to actually train you. We have both Sana University, which is an online training tool, as well as an expensive help site to be able to actually train you to do those changes yourself. Maybe to round out the question, I imagine one of the questions is how long does the implementation typically take? One of the first, answer that we give is it actually depends on how, ready your ERP is and how ready your data is to go live with e-commerce. But we say from, a Business Central implementation standpoint, it could be anywhere from 60 to 90 days. So 2 to 3 months, and it will obviously be on the lower end if your ERP is ready and up and running, and maybe a little bit on the higher end if there's still some work and data massaging that needs to take place for that to happen.
All right, we had another question come in while you were talking. If a client offers rewards for B2B orders, can that be replicated in Sana?
Sure. So I imagine that goes into the the discounting and promotional side. So we can either use the promotional side that is set up in Business Central. So we have already the logic and the integration to leverage those, or in Sana we can actually spin up a specific set of promotional features and rewards, such as discount codes, or potentially buy one get one free, and some of those type of features. Maybe on that side, if the question was also related to things like upselling and cross-selling, that's also the case. We would actually set that up in Business Central in the related items tab, and we can then pull in Sana those additional products to potentially start doing some of that too. I don't know if that answers the question, or if there's any follow-up to that.
If it didn't answer the question, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Your account managers will be following up with you. Or you can send us an email at howdy@bamboomcloud.com, and we'll be sure to have someone reach out to you. Oh, I got the follow-up to that.
I think I saw the additional question. So for things like reward systems, we've actually set them up in different ways for some of our customers. We've worked with, for example, a wine retailer that has a specific, obviously that's key for them to have a points reward system. That's something that we have done, and we can replicate. We would have to add some additional logic in the ERP to be able to manage that. That's always going to be our first answer, because we need to have something that manages that in back office and in the ERP, and then we can obviously create some additional logic to manage that in Sana. I know, again, customers will typically do it in different ways, but we have done it again depending on the use case. So something like $500 gets you 50 rewards point, something that we can handle.
If we're talking about wine and rewards points, I would probably have a fair number of them, but we will leave that for the conversation. If there's no other questions coming in, I'm going to say a big thank you to Sana for presenting today. Like I mentioned, reach out to us if you have any other questions, and if you're watching the recording, please don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have any other questions or use cases that you'd like to talk about as well. Thanks again, everyone. Have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, Tanya. And again, thank you for hosting, and same to you. If you have any other questions or use cases, please bring them up to either myself or Molly or anyone else on the Bamboom team, and we'll be able to answer your questions and go a little bit more in detail and in depth.
Great. All right. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.